Hello class, I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Articles of Confederation. We're going to talk about the different parts of the Constitution. By tomorrow, my goal is that you should be able to tell me the difference between a confederation and a federation. You should also be able to summarize what each of the articles of the Constitution was about. So follow along in your guided notes that I sent you and fill in the blanks as we go along. So the Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the United States of America. However, before the Constitution that we have today was enacted, we had the Articles of Confederation, which was the Constitution. And a confederation is an organization that consists of a number of parties or groups united in an alliance or league. So in the case of America, we had all the 13 colonies. At that time, they were now states. We had the 13 states, and they each had their government, and they were an alliance, but there wasn't a true, strong central government. In fact, the Articles of Confederation created a limited government, or a government with a weak central government. This allowed the states to have more control over their sovereignty, their land. In 1776 and in 1777, the weakness of this government shone through. There was an uprising called Shays' Rebellion, and this was a bunch of disgruntled farmers who were struggling economically because of the instability of this government, and they actually threatened the stability of the government and the court system. And so at this point, a Continental Congress was called in Philadelphia to discuss a new constitution. And what we ended up with was our current Constitution of the United States. So the Constitution was adopted in 1787, but it wasn't enacted until March of 1789. And this Constitution is representative of what we call a federal system of government. And a federation is a group of states with a central government, but independence in internal affairs. So essentially we have one big government that encompasses all of them. We have different parts of the government, and those are represented by our states, and they are in charge of their internal affairs, and the federal government just oversees all of them. So our Constitution is divided into 7 articles, and the Continental Congress wrote these articles in the order that they felt were most important to least important. So our first article, this addresses the legislative branch of government, or the branch of government that creates and writes laws. They had a bicameral Congress, aka 2 chambers, and that had a House of Representatives and a Senate. So the House of Representatives, it was determined by population of the state that it represented. So if you had a bigger state with more people in it, you had more representatives. But then the Senate was represented equally, and so we have 2 senators from each state. So this way, it created a nice balance between the larger states and the smaller states. This was called the Great Compromise. So then we have the second article, and this addresses our executive branch of government. And the person who is in charge of this branch of government is given the title of president. So the president of the United States is in charge of the executive branch of government. And then the third article addresses our judicial branch of government. And then we have our fourth article. The fourth article addresses the state's power. All the powers that the states are granted are known as reserved powers. These powers are stuff that only the states can create into laws and stuff. So the federal government has no power in the reserved powers because those are reserved for the states. The fifth article addresses the amendment process to change, alter, or add to the Constitution. So today we have 27 amendments, and the first 10 amendments are known as the Bill of Rights. And so I am going to send you After this video, I'm going to send you a link that has all 27 amendments and also a cartoon of the Bill of Rights. I want you to take a look at them and read through them, and we're going to discuss what you read tomorrow. The 6th article addresses the federal government and what powers it has. Those powers that are granted to the federal government by the Constitution, those are known as enumerated powers. Those are powers that the state has no control over, and this is solely the federal government. And then lastly, we have the 7th article, which simply addresses how to ratify the Constitution. So how to get it passed through. And then really that's all I have for you today, but I have some questions that I want you to answer. It's at the bottom of your notes. We'll go over them tomorrow. We'll have a discussion on them, so make sure you come prepared. Question number 1. What had more strength under the Articles of Confederation, the states or the central government? Question number 2. I want you to read through the Article 1 of the Constitution. In Article 1, Section 7, the Constitution says, all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. So based on what you've read, why do you think all the bills for raising taxes start in the House and not in the Senate? The answer should be in some of the other sections. So read through and we'll discuss that tomorrow. Question number 3, what sort of things would you consider to be reserved powers? So what are things that only the state has control over that the federal government does not? And then question number 4, check out the cartoon of the Bill of Rights that I sent you. So that would be amendments 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And which amendments do you think are out of date and don't really apply in today's world? And which ones are still very disputed today? So answer those questions, read through the Constitution, especially Article 1, and we will discuss tomorrow the answers to those questions. So have a great day.